All right, guys, welcome to Optimizing Forward, guys, where we discuss all things optimization related, guys, and our objective is to obviously try to become better in any way that we can, of course. Uh, so I'm gonna make a live stream, obviously, guys. I'm pretty tired today. Just bear with me, guys. I'm really exhausted today. So yeah, guys, let's go ahead and I want to go over this YouTube video I was watching today. It was pretty interesting. So we kind of have this girl, right? She's talking, oh, she has a high IQ, 135. And then basically, she's like ranting on and on and on. I don't want to say I don't have any empathy for her. Like I definitely feel empathetic. But I think one of the things, whatever, all these people, whatever, judging her, keep putting her to the second, the third degree. She's 32. She hasn't accomplished anything. All this different stuff, right? And the thing I was realizing very quickly, she kind of reminded me a lot of myself, right? Of course, in my case, I've never considered myself to have a high IQ. I've always, at least in my life, I've never like at no point in my life did I ever feel like I had a better brain than anybody else around me. I would say the only thing that was different was I asked a lot of questions, right? But I never felt at any point in any job that I worked that was way better than my peers. Okay. My peers were typically on average, I would say superior in ability and competence and capability. For me in let's say my early 20s was mostly me just trying to be average, which was quite pathetic, right? Or me having to work really hard to meet a bare minimum expectation. So, and obviously maybe I had a degree of arrogance, but I think the first thing that this girl is having, right, is that I don't want to say she's arrogant, but she comes off as incredibly arrogant. Okay. You know, just like you declaring to the world, right? If you really think about it, right? I have a IQ of 135, guys. This is not something I would post on social media. I wouldn't post to everybody. I have an IQ of 135, right? Because there's like this burden that you now carry. Okay. If I play chess, right, I'm like 1900, 2000. They're like, oh, you're really good. I'm like, no, I suck. Okay. I don't want anyone telling me I'm good. Okay. Ever. Okay. And that sounds really weird, right? But it's like, I went to the range today, right? And I shot like a lot of rounds. I was flinching because I was like terrified of the noise of bullets because they can kill you. And I shot numerous rounds. I was getting better. I held the gun like this, bang, bang, bang. And I was thinking like, if I, have to shoot somebody, I'm getting more confident. But like, there was this other guy. He pulls back the trigger. He's like, here you go. He just loads all these bullets in really fast. Boom, 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 boom. And here I am like struggling. Boom, struggling. And just my fingers were too weak to put in the bullets into the chamber. And I was like, I fucking suck. Like it's disgusting how bad I am. Right. And I think for her, right, like, or actually for anybody who thinks that, okay, I want some people to understand something very critical about IQ, the intelligence quotient. It is a made up, human made construct that attempts to measure. It is an attempt to measure human capability. Okay. It is not going to be able to do that because human intelligence is too diverse. Okay. The human brain has the ability to do so much stuff. And one day I did lifting, I did running. As a matter of fact, I might just do a run today just for the fun of it. The human brain can do so much stuff, right? But like, you can't really measure it, right? Because like me getting 1900, 2000, 2400, becoming an IM, an international master in chess, right? Is that something I can do? Absolutely. Do I feel like I could never get there? No, I don't accept that answer. Same thing with jiu-jitsu, guys. I like a year ago, I was like, the gap between me and a blue belt was like massive. Now it's like not that big anymore. Blue belts are good, but they're not that good. They're not so good that they're not to the point where I can't beat them. Okay. It's like day by day, I'm getting closer and closer to surpassing the basic blue belt level skill set. I went to a gym and I went against these blue belts, and they ended up resorting to leg locks. I was a little bit pissed off. I was a bit of a sore loser. But I was like, this is bullshit. Like, what the heck? I never have leg lock defense, and I obviously got tapped. I was pissed that I lost. It's like, because I thought these guys were just like lazy about it. I was like, yeah, these guys clearly suck with their technique. I thought this is how not good these guys are, because they have to resort to something I never defend. But obviously, I didn't say that. I said good job, because like, I don't have a leg lock defense. So the thing what I'm trying to get at here is that, like, IQ or like intelligence quotient is a made up thing, right? Like, the fact that she's using this as part of her identity is fucking nonsense. Like if anything, right? If someone tells you you're smart or really fucking intelligent, I'll be like, thank you. I still suck. That should be your default answer to everything. I don't give a fuck how good you think you are. You always suck. Okay? There is always something you need to work on. Okay? And what that teaches you is humility. Okay? That's one thing I've had to learn the hard way. You have to have humility. Have humility. Okay? Learn to lose. Okay? Losing is not fun, right? She got fired from all these jobs, like, because I guess she wasn't a cultural fit, but you have to lose. You have to learn to accept your failures. You failed. Okay? Failure is failure. You accept your failure and you get fucking better. Okay? And I was like, man, this girl is like, fuck. Like, you have special kid syndrome here. She doesn't get it. No one gives a fuck. Okay? Really. Like, I know it's like, that sounds so cliche, but genuinely, no one gives a fuck. Okay? Nobody gives a fuck if you are really smart. If you guys join the army, nobody gives a fuck. Okay? They only care what you can do and whether you can perform. That's all they care about. Same thing in the civilian world. You try to you go to a civilian job. What can you do? How much money can you make me? How quickly can you do it? That's all they care about. Okay, that's how capitalism is, guys. And like, did I feel bad for her? Yes, but like, the reality is that no one's gonna come help her. Unfortunately. She's 32. You got to realize, this is what I'm trying to tell a lot of you guys right now. At no point, it seems like she keeps talking about jobs. Well, you got to pick something that you can get fucking good at. Okay? That's why we don't do jobs, guys. You go to shitty job, you're never going to get good at anything. Why do you think I do jiu-jitsu, guys? Because it forces me to stick with it. It's teaching me perseverance. I have to stick with this multi-decade, okay? Multi-decade to get the black belt. That's a long-ass time, okay? But it teaches you something. Mastering a craft is hard as fuck. She never learned that. IQ, like, if you have a really high IQ, right, it might make you a better chess player. It might make you a little better, but it won't teach you the long term. It won't teach you how to go through your failures, okay? I've lost like 10,000 chess games, right? Lost so many games, like, damn, I lost, right? And it's like, at some point, chess becomes toxic, because it's like, it's such a harsh game. It's just like, you lose every single fucking game. It's just so harsh and you're so bad, right? That's the evil thing about chess. It's so addictive. It's like, it's so consuming, but it's rewarding as well, because you put in the effort and you get better, right? Same fucking thing. And she's saying something about not being a cultural fit, right? I'm familiar with this, right? It's like this idea that you're different, that people don't like you, right? Well, that's not something you can control too much, right? But on some level, right, you have to learn to shut the fuck up. Like, it sounds like she's talking too much or saying the wrong shit. If you're saying the wrong shit, you're going to get fired. If you go to your boss, say all these things you're going to do, he's just going to fire you. Okay? Like, no one wants to hear about your ideas. Nobody gives a fuck. Okay. Like, I want to make that very clear. Your employer does not give a fuck about your ideas. He only cares about the money, the bottom line, and that's it. Okay. Just approach it with that mentality. Um, I mean, I don't know. It's just like, is IQ a good thing, right? I really couldn't say. I mean, I think if you have a great IQ with an emotional IQ, then that's a formidable individual because you need great logical capabilities with emotional capabilities. You need to understand people. What do they want? How to have small talk. What is Sarah saying to her the boss behind their back? You need to be able to anticipate gossip before it even happens. Okay. That's the one thing I've learned in the army, or one thing I've learned. You just have to learn how politics work. Okay. She might be autistic because you guys, I'm gonna be real with you. The more you get up in prestige, power, whatever it is you do, influence, you go somewhere, you have to know how to navigate people. You have to. Okay. Social interactions are like chess. It's the same thing. Am I navigating what I need to do? Like, I'll give you an example. Like, I'm going into the range. I have some Crocs on. This is the store policy, right? So the chess game that's happening right now, right, is kind of this thing where I was like, I don't want to walk outside to get Crocs. I want to get what I want. He's just enforcing a policy. So I'm trying to checkmate him on efficiency, if you will, and ask him a question. I was like, is that really necessary? He's like, yes. I was like, oh, why? Because it was written by a lawyer. I was like, oh, is it mandatory? He said, yes. What are the consequences? He couldn't tell me. And then I asked him to explain his reasoning. And then as he explained it, he said, oh, one of these bullets could bounce off and hit the side and hit one of your feet. Is the argument kind of bullshit? Yes. Is it legitimate? Yes. Okay. Then I tried something else. I was like, what if I wear one shoe and one Croc? What's the difference? So notice I'm trying different stuff, seeing what his reactions are, making compliments, talking to him. Oh, you're the Marines. Oh, that's great. And then he's like, I'm a better shot than you. I was like, oh, really? And then I let him know. I was like, well, I'm really motivated. And then he got kind of quiet. He's like, oh, you're really motivated. Yeah, I am. Okay. That's one thing that high IQ people typically lack: motivation. You might have a high IQ, but are you motivated to work fucking hard? Okay. You need to be willing to work really hard. Nobody cares if you're smart. Okay. And I'm not even knocking smart people. I think it's great to be smart, but how are you using your intelligence? Okay. By my standards, I'm an idiot. I consider myself really dumb. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being dumb. Um, there's nothing wrong with being stupid. Everyone is dumb. This is the whole problem with the word smart, right? Is that you think you're smart. Not really. I don't know about mathematics. I don't know about history. I don't know about electrical engineering. I don't know about mechanical engineering. I will never know about all these fields. There's not enough time in 10 lifetimes to cover every single knowledge area. I'll never know about the YouTube algorithm. I'll never know about SEO. I'll never know about how to type 300 words an hour or 300 words a minute, type racer, or be a red coder, all this different stuff, right? So it's like, there's this thing where it's like people say be humble, right? Well, I say rather than be humble, just have unannounced confidence with humility. Okay, it's the difference, because when you're humble, it's fake. I don't like fake humble people. I don't like people that are really good at something and are fake about it. Okay, I don't like that because they're not authentic. Okay, if you ask me, let's play chess, I'm like, okay. And if you say you think you can beat me, I was like, you're not going to beat me. And be like, oh, you're arrogant. I'm like, no, I just put in the fucking work. Okay. I know the work I put in. I put in thousands of hours, thousands of games. Did you put in the work? If the answer is no, then you're the one that is arrogant. Okay. But then I'll say, but I still suck by my standard. So what I did there is I was definite. I was like, I don't think so. Okay. I put in the work and I still suck because there's so much I still need to work on. You'll notice the same thing with Tom Brady. Tom Brady is the same way. Someone compliments him, you're the GOAT, you're the greatest of all time. Tom Brady's like, oh, I appreciate that, but there's still so much more I need to do, so much more I need to work on. And then, Tom Brady talks about having the competitive fire to get better, to keep working at it. You just keep working at it, okay? Day after day after day after day, okay? I guess what I'm trying to get at, like with this girl, right? She has this background with these paintings, these books, and I was like, that's great, books and paintings, I like it, but it just doesn't matter, okay? It just doesn't matter. I'll give you another example. So I went to this jujitsu gym with this guy. He was insanely smart, talking about jujitsu, wrestling. I learned about the Russian Thai. I learned about how to pass guard better, learning about different types of passing movements, how to do a knee slice, all this different stuff. And this guy is smart. He's like me. He's just analytical. There's something about someone who's really analytical. They just take in so much more information than the average brain because they ask so many questions. Okay, and the thing I was starting to realize with this guy is that, as I was talking to him, is that he has a lot going on here. A lot going on, and we start wrestling. I get destroyed pretty easily. He grabs my arm and he effectively shows me he could break my arm within 30 seconds. I tap immediately. I went against this other guy. He's 200 pounds, and me and him were having a conversation, going back and forth. I was better than him, obviously. I was able to get him down. It was pretty difficult. I was dissatisfied I couldn't submit him. Just wasn't. My strength has been decreased by a good amount, so I'm not as strong as I normally am. But for the lack of a better term, if it was an unlimited round, I probably would eventually tap him. But these are different examples of these people, that are. You could have the knowledge of jiu-jitsu. You could have the knowledge, but it just doesn't fucking matter. The bottom line is what you can do, what you execute, and what actually shows up on the mat. Okay? That's what matters. So I think in this girl's case, right? Does she maybe have this incredibly high IQ? Probably, but she has immense deficits, which means that she doesn't have a high IQ. She probably has a normal IQ with extreme giftedness in certain areas, like visual spatial memory, absolute recall, long-term sequence order removal, long sequence order recall, long-term retrieval storage, visual imagery recognition, right? Visualization, all these different aspects, verbal linguistics, syntax, all these different parts of the brain, the temporal lobe, right? Being able to understand, being able to intuit the emotion of others. This is a very difficult ability, by the way, to intuit someone else's emotions, to understand their emotions, to be able to, look at them. Right? We're talking to this black belt, and this guy is really intense, really, really, really strong eye contact. I keep my eye contact. He just keeps going. He keeps going, and I'm a bit uncomfortable. I'm like, okay, yep. And he's just so passionate about his craft that I wasn't sure how to respond. And I talked to so many people, but it was difficult. And then he's like, have a good day, but he doesn't know when to stop the conversation. He just thinks since I keep listening that I want to keep listening to him. I actually don't want to keep listening to him. I would like to leave, right? But we're both really passionate people, so it's you get two really passionate people together and you have a lot of energy, He was a really smart dude. I learned a great deal from him. Would I engage in that type of conversation again? Probably not. It was just a very strange conversation, if you will. But I asked him a simple question, and he gave me a damn good answer. But it wasn't the place for that question. So I demonstrated a deficit, right? The lack of awareness. I can ask the question. Is it the right time to ask the question? We finished rolling. He's got to go to work. that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Maybe at the start of a class or maybe another day when we're at the bar, this shit doesn't make any sense, right? So in the same way that this girl, if you will, she claims that she's so talented. And I'm watching this video and I'm like, I don't think this girl is this talented. You know, like you're saying to like all your viewers that you have 140 IQ, right? That doesn't seem so smart to me. You know, like I just really think about it. You're declaring to all your viewers that you're smarter than all of them, and then you're also admitting that you suck at making money, basically, right? So it's like you know what I might have said? I might have said that I got a test that puts me in a high IQ range, but I think it's inaccurate or I feel that it's doesn't match reality, right? That's a kind of this pragmatic caveat, if you will. So that's why I believe there's pragmaticism and optimization. When we're optimizing, we're trying to be pragmatic. Pragmatic people are the people that, in my personal opinion, will always get the furthest ahead, right? And why is that? Because not only are they confident, but they're not afraid to admit when they're wrong. They can take criticism. They can engage in a conversation. They can engage in a debate, but they can let it go and they can establish boundaries. Notice that pragmatic person can do everything. I can do a boundary. I can be stern. I can be nice. I can be calm. I can be cruel. I can be anything I want to be when I decide to be that. Okay. Does that make me better than anybody else? Absolutely not. Okay. As a matter of fact, that's probably one of the things that she also did is she let her intelligence quotient become her identity. She brainwashed herself like a fucking idiot, right? That's not very smart. You know, like now you're kind of letting that behavior or that label rather kind of dictate your identity or who you are. And this is a mistake, I think. You know, is an IQ like okay, I think we should just get rid of the word IQ. Let's just say your natural abilities, right? IQ is a man-made word for a test that's fucking dumb. Okay. I think the word IQ is stupid, but like natural ability, right? What are my natural abilities, right? If you're average like me, then that's okay. You're just got to work way harder at everything. Okay. As long as you have a good work ethic, you'll get very far. You just have to work hard. If you are in the greater echelon of ability, then you just have to have a good work ethic to match that, and you will simply surpass me. Okay. I expect for that person to surpass me. If I play this grandmaster chess kid, he beat me, right? Was I upset? Yeah, I was upset. I was like, damn, I lost. This is bullshit. But I never let it get to my head, right? I can't be like, oh, I lost. But like I can't lose. No, I can lose because this kid is the son of a grandmaster, right? He has a free chess grandmaster. He's been studying chess for 7 years since he's like 6. I started training chess at 26. I'm 29. Okay. So that's the difference. I'm happy that I can play a good game against him. Now, do I not believe I could not beat him? Hell no. I will always believe I can beat him every single time. I will never accept I cannot beat him. Okay. But there's a difference between the confidence in my ability, between arrogance. Okay. And I don't know if she has arrogance, but that might be the case. Okay. I can walk anywhere and people know that I have I have capability. I'm not unbeatable, you know. Nobody's unbeatable. And I don't know, it's just an interesting thought, right? It's just something about the word IQ is just such a repugnant word to me, you know. Are there gifted people that go to Harvard, Yale, that are elite ability? Absolutely. But I think the greatest mistake is letting that become your identity, letting that single thing define who you are, and letting it get to your head. Because again, it's the same thing. You let it get to your head, your competition is going to destroy you because you're like, oh, I have a high IQ. Uh I don't have to respect my competition. Yeah, you do. Or I mean, you don't have to respect your competition, but you should always prepare for your competition as if they can beat you. Okay, that's sort of problem with chess, right? Sometimes you'll play like a really low rated player, like 1,000, and be like, you'll play a really bad. You'll play. You're like, I'll beat this guy easy, and he starts making really good moves, and you're just being careless, and then you blunder, and then you lose. I remember I went to this coffee shop, and this guy comes up, he's like, let's play some games. We play some games, and then all of a sudden, I could tell this guy's being really serious. I'm like, what the heck? What? Then I blundered. I was like, oh, I'm actually losing. I was like, oh hell. So I I I probably might have been able to get a draw, but it was such a horrible position. I blundered, and then I simply lost. But I made the win for him as miserable as possible, right? To prove to him that you got lucky, you know. And then I said, let's play some more games where I'm putting my absolute focus on it, and I will treat you with the exact intensity that you gave me. And what happened was I beat him 5-0. Okay. He lost every single game. And then he's like, I don't want to play anymore. I was like, that's right. That's right. Because you don't respect the competition, right? Or I didn't respect him. Or I wouldn't say I didn't respect. I was talking to a friend, and then I lost. And then I was like, okay, now I'm going to respect you. And he lost every single game. No chance. Destroyed him every game. Okay. Was absolutely ruthless. Okay. I showed him no mercy. Okay. Zero mercy. Because he had a strategy, and that strategy was, I'm going to take this guy by surprise, and I'm going to do this thing. And then obviously I lost. And I was upset. I was like, damn, I lost. You know, whatever. It's just a stupid board game. But the point is, right, is that in this analogy, imagine she's like this person with a really high IQ, and her job is like a chessboard, right? Well, the problem is you're going in there telling everybody your strategy. Shut the fuck up. Stop talking so much. Okay. There's no, like, I talk a lot, guys, but I don't tell everyone my strategy. It's really dumb. Stop doing it. Okay. Could she be doing other things wrong? I genuinely don't know. But what are things we can take away rather from these contemplations, if you will? I think it's always good to reflect. I'm very big on reflecting on life and things, and I would say that probably the real answer is often somewhere in the middle, right? Occam's razor tells us. I try to use Occam's razor for very complicated situations that cannot easily be explained by any set of nuanced or simplistic explanation. So what Occam's razor does, it gives me the Pareto principle, the 80-20 rule, to reduce what's really happening. Because as we get older, we can't really see what's happening anymore. Okay. But I might not know what's happening, but I can feel my way to the answer. Okay. If I can feel my way there, then I can get close to the answer. I can't get the answer, but I can get really close. Okay. And then I was like, maybe the answer is probably this, is that she's gifted in some areas, but she does not have a high IQ. She has an average IQ. She lost all these jobs because the simple answer, rather than it being a cultural fit, because at most jobs there is no fucking culture. So she's kind of like making up this bullshit story that is not real. Most jobs don't have a culture. Okay. It's fucking ridiculous. Maybe like 20 years ago, but with the world, like, there is no real work culture at most corporate companies anymore. There really isn't. Okay. The real answer is that probably that, because she's really talking about, it was really interesting. I was listening to this very carefully, that these neurotypicals or these normal people will sense out that you don't belong and remove you. And I thought about this for a really long time. I was like, because I've experienced this as well in my life. And I was like, interesting. And when I had these challenges, people told me these things about myself. I was like, oh, I see. And I've had these things told about myself for a very long time, right? So I'm like, oh. So over the many years, I've slowly but surely learned to take what their feedback, take what they're saying to heart, because I simply can't ignore it, right? Because it's this thing. And so the answer is probably that she's just not a likable person. Okay, like it's like she thinks that it's deeper than it really is. That like people don't want you to be good at your job. Okay, this is categorically not true. You can go to jobs and be a total dickhead to tons of people and make a lot of money and nobody like you and still have a job. Okay, this is clearly untrue. I have seen numerous examples of this. There are also examples where you can suck at your job, but if everyone likes you, you will keep your job. Okay, so it's like probably she just doesn't know how to read the room, right? You suck at reading the room. It's probably like she sucks at her job, but she thinks she's good at her job, and she's in the wrong career field, and everyone doesn't like her. That means you're going to get fired. If one of these three, if only about, I would say on average, if maybe like two of these three things are true, you'll still keep your job. If all three are true, you're doomed. And then this goes back to what I say all the time, right? My thing is this, right? Balance it out. If you're a dick, be good at your job. If you're fat, if you're fat, be funny. Counteract the negative with the positive. For example, I smoke, right, guys? I started smoking a long time ago, a year ago. Don't do it. I still work out, right? I still do positive things. If I'm lazy, I do something else. Balance it out. If I'm depressed, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do this. But unfortunately, I don't know. There's something about it. If everything that you do is all negative, then of course they're going to get rid of you. Of course they are. Okay? That's simple. Is there she was like speculating that there's a deeper theory. Is there a deeper theory? Sure there is. Does it require that in-depth analysis at what she was calling these average people? No, it doesn't. Is it possible that she made these people feel insecure as well? Yes. But all she really needed to do was to make sure that maybe one of those three things was not true. Maybe one. And if she did that, sooner or later, she should have been able to find some fields that exist in the world that she can make money in. I don't accept her answer that she could not find a field. I don't accept this answer. Okay? Impossible. But she is a very a case example, if you will, of what I was also contemplating. She's rather, I would say, delusional. Delusional. She lives in a state of delusion. Because when I believe myself to be super intelligent, right? Super intelligent, then you become delusional. You become delusional, and then you lose your grip on reality. Okay, and then when we do that, nothing can save you. Nothing can help you. You will fall to earth, and your face will get crushed by the asphalt. Okay, in the same way that a lot of people, for example, think that they can fight someone who trains, and then when you face someone who actually trains 20 hours a week of physical fighting and martial arts, you will quickly find that you have no chance. Not only did you have no chance, you never had a chance. Okay, and you just simply got destroyed. So I guess what I want to say is, right, is that like if you believe, as you believe with this lady, that you're immensely intelligent, just don't say anything. There's no benefit in me saying that I'm really smart. What's the benefit? Now you're just putting all this burden on yourself. Okay, like if you keep having these repetitive events in reality, then it's probably all three things are true. If they're all true, you need to fix something. You have no choice. Because then she tells herself, what am I supposed to do to get out of this? What am I supposed to do? Well, you have to figure one of those three things out. And if you don't, then unfortunately, that will be the reality forever. Okay, and then this is kind of my final parting thought for this live stream. This is a warning. her life is a warning for us, for anybody and everybody, right? That never let ever your ability, how good you are, ever to make you think that you're better than anybody else. You are not better than anybody else, ever. I don't care if you have $1 billion. You are not better than anybody else, okay? If I have 1 million YouTube subscribers, I'm not better than anybody else. I'm the same exact person, okay? Why does that matter? Because I always need to be on earth. My feet need to be on the ground at all times, okay? One of the challenges I had in my early 20s, one of these things I was going on in YouTube, right, was that you should have a delusion of grandeur. It's an interesting thought, right? Have a delusion of grandeur. Be a multi-millionaire. Do this, do that. Be delusional. That's great. But, you have a delusion of grandeur. Like in the same way that Tom Brady says, I want to win the Super Bowl. But I'm still grounded in the daily fucking reality. Every day. Okay? Now, whether she's doing that, I have no idea. I don't know. It was just an interesting video. Just finished training today, and I was like, let's watch a video and just 25 minutes of this girl sobbing. I don't know. We do live in a very odd and unique time right now. I'm not gonna lie, but maybe contemplate that. Think about it. Sit with it. Go to your job tomorrow. Am I saying too much? Maybe I shouldn't say this. Maybe what I am letting on does not serve me. I can have this conversation, but should I? I could ask these people these questions. Should I? You don't have to ask people anything, right? I want to pick and choose what I give. And by us doing this, we get much further ahead than someone just picking all day long. In terms of optimizing, right? If let's say tomorrow God gives me a really high IQ like she does, the first thing I would figure, I was like, okay, I have a really high IQ now. It's like 30 points higher. What can I do to make money right now? Is there anything? If not, if I couldn't figure out anything within like a year, I would just stop saying I have a high IQ. I might think a little faster, makes things a little more efficient. In the same way I do 100 push-ups in the morning to be a little fitter, to live a little longer. But other than that, I don't really care. I'll be like, okay, whatever. I don't care anymore. Because it just doesn't matter. And that's what I'll leave you guys with. At the end of the day, right? This is a great example of this. You go to college. No one cares that you went to college. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares that you read 100 books. Am I going to read? Yes, but does anyone care? No. Nobody cares that. What else? Nobody cares that you are privileged or special. Nobody cares, right? Really internalize that. I know we think we internalize it, but internalize it in the same way that there's existential dread, right? At some point, we're all going to die, right? Getting closer day by day. I'm getting closer as well. So we're always on this countdown. That's all I have for you guys for optimizing forward. I hope this helped you guys, and have a great day.